I don't get home until very early, it's late, so
Yeah.
we have different time frames.
Yes. So if you don't mind just introducing yourself, where you're from, and maybe something that drew you to the class, or something that you would like to get out of tonight.
Okay, I'm just swallowing my food.
Well, hey, food is essential to life.
I didn't have food tonight.
Well,
My
that's good.
name is Ham. I live in Washington State, in a little town, well, out of a little town called Yakult, about 30 miles from the closest stores and shopping centers, up in the mountains. And we don't live in the town of Yakult, and still 7 miles from them. But so that's where I'm from. And I love doTERRA. I use it all the time. It's my medicine. It's my healing powers that I feel I have the ability to do now. I feel like I can heal my own body a lot of times with a lot of the issues that I deal with. And fight all the flus and viruses that seem to come around. And I teach around almost every day. I'm a retired teacher, and I still sub pretty much every day with little kids, K1 and 2. And so I have the chance of getting sick as often as I want if I don't keep myself healthy. So I lots of oils, and On Guard is my On To It. I take the On Guard capsules. I have a lot of teachers who take them that work with me, and got them on them too, because somehow I'm older than a lot of them, and I don't get sick as much as anybody else because I have these oils. So I share them and they're fantastic. I love them.
Yay. Well, thanks for sharing. Debbie, do you want to share a little bit about just where you're?
I will share. I am grateful, Dia, that you are teaching this class tonight while I put together packages for our giveaway month. So we've had a really fun month. So I am Debbie Gordon, and I live in Draper, Utah, and I've been using doTERRA essential oils for almost 9 years now. And so I am the culprit and ahead of all of this team that's been so incredibly wonderful. And I love sharing essential oils with others and having relationships all over the world. That has brought me great joy. Having doTERRA in our home has seriously saved our family thousands and thousands of dollars, for which I am truly grateful. And every day we are using them, every day. And so may you stay well. That's our goal, is to stay well, healthy and well. And we do that very nicely with doTERRA. Thank you, Dia. I look forward to hearing your class tonight.
Awesome. Well, yay. Well, let's start. You've something that has left you. Yes. you can mute yourself too, and if you want, if anybody wants to. Sean, yeah. Can you mute yourself? Yeah. Okay. And you're welcome to unmute yourself at any time too. I don't think you're muted yet. There you are. Okay. But you're welcome to unmute yourself if you do want to chime in as I'm asking some questions. But just think about this, and you can either answer it to yourself, or if you want to, chime in and raise your hand. But have you ever eaten something that has left you feeling just gross, maybe just tired, made your stomach hurt, gave you heartburn? These are just, foods that you've eaten, right? And having a direct correlation between what you've eaten and how you felt. Maybe it even gave you the runs. I know that, I could say yes to those, that I have had that experience. And on the opposite spectrum, have you ever eaten something that really made you feel well? When you're finished eating your meal, you're like, oh, that just really settled well in my tummy. I just feel good. I feel nourished. I feel light. then, that's kind of on two opposites of the spectrum, where food can make us either not feel so great, or it really can nourish us and help us to feel well. And I bet that, we can all say that food really does affect us physically, and that food can also affect our mood. And on the opposite side of that, that our mood can affect our food choices as well. And the old saying is that you are what you eat. I think really that food impacts us. And I wanted to share just a little bit about my story, so kind of know a little bit about me and where I come from. But I very much so have experienced the power of food in my life. And one, how it has made me feel physically, but also for my emotional health as well. And I my first child, and had a great pregnancy. My daughter was breech from about 30 weeks on, and we tried everything to get her to turn, and many things said that that just wasn't going to happen. And I had, towards the end of my pregnancy, and I ended up with a bladder infection a week before she was born. And then I ended up her and found out that I had been on an IV antibiotic for, I think over 24 hours. And then I had a breast infection the first week she was born. And so all of that happened within, probably like a 2-week period. And I just had a baby. I decided, I was craving sugar. If I want a hot dog, I'll have. And so that was kind of my mentality at that time. And needless to say, I ended up with what is called thrush in my milk ducts, and what actually eventually turned into a systemic type of infection. And I was in a lot of pain. I did everything that Western medicine could offer me, and it was a Band-Aid that after a period of time would come back with full force. And for those that know me, know that I can be pretty persistent in what it is that I want. And I really wanted to breastfeed. It was really important to me. But even those that are really close to me and knew that, they said, maybe it's time to just not breastfeed. You're in so much pain, you're suffering. And I was really in a lot of pain, and I was suffering. This is all pre-doTERRA, before I had the oils. And it was the first time where, because I really wanted to breastfeed and I didn't want to give that up, that I was really willing to consider and look at other, aspects, of my health. And I was really looking at considering what I was eating, how that was impacting what I now understand about my own microbiome and the issues that I was having. And so for the first time in my life, I eliminated foods, and I had no idea the direct impact that food could have in how I felt physically, but also how I felt, emotionally and mentally, and issues that I had dealt with for years and kind of my entire life, like magically went away. And that was really hugely impactful to me. And I had dealt with irritable bowel syndrome, had been diagnosed. I'd suffered from that, diagnosed, and when I think I was in college, and symptoms of that just completely went away. It was like I couldn't believe it. Just things were moving. Other issues that I had that just, I was having joint pain. Anyhow, all these things went away. And I really realized the impact that food can have. And that kind of spurred me on my journey of wanting to, heal myself, because it was a journey to heal my body. And I know that had I had the oils at that time in my life, that healing journey could have been a lot quicker. And if I knew then what I know today, also about gut health and all the things that you can do to help yourself, my journey probably would have gotten there a lot quicker too. So my intention is to share some things that I've learned along my journey, and hoping that it might be helpful to you in yours. And the things that we're going to cover is the gut-brain connection. And there is a definite connection between those two things. We're going to talk a little bit about food addiction and emotional eating. Now, this is not, looking at like disorders and things like that. I mean, obviously there are people who deal with bulimia and, things like that. But we're going to be more so talking about just, behavior and things where, it's not serving you, but you're kind of not knowing how to stop yourself there. And then also a concept which is called bioindividuality, and what that means to you. And then we'll also talk about the power of food and how what we put at the end of our fork has a direct correlation to how we feel, and that every time we eat, we are either helping ourselves, helping our bodies, helping our minds, or we are not by what we are drinking and what we are putting into our body. And so food can be a very powerful form of medicine. And then I'd also like to talk a little bit about cleansing and supplements and essential oils and how they can help support you in your journey. And then I'd like to just take a minute to talk about the power of thought, and the power that our thoughts hold in creating what it is that we want for ourselves. So that's what we're going to cover. And if anyone has any questions, please, chime in, and I'll try. We started a little bit late, so we might go a little bit over. We'll just see how it goes. So, so in a nutshell, when we're talking about the gut-brain connection, we have millions of nerves, and we have what's referred to as the vagus nerve, and it's, kind of like Las Vegas, but it's spelled differently. But it is kind of like the pathway, or one of the pathways that the brain communicates with the gut. And the gut and its microbes. So if we think about microbes in the gut, we have what is referred to as the microbiome, but you can also, look to it as like, your own little ecological system, and you have all these, different microbes or bacteria, or even what people refer to as bugs, but they're healthy bugs, that all serve a purpose in our body, and that we are actually more bacteria than we are human cells, which is kind of crazy to think about. And actually the amount, I think it's like a couple pounds, if you were to see the amount of that, because we have microbiomes in our digestive system. We have, that's kind of your main central hub. You also have, a microbiome in your mouth, in your nasal cavity, on your skin. And so all of these different microbes help to control inflammation, and they also have different compounds. I'm teaching a class, Ellis. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, shut the door. Okay, shut the door. Let Josie out. Okay. Ellis, go get Poppy, please. Okay. This is my 5-year-old. Okay, you need to go. I am teaching a class. Thank you. Papa? I want to give you a kiss. Okay. All right. I will give him a kiss. Okay. I love you. Don't remember where I was exactly, but okay. That the microbes, they help to control inflammation in the body, but they also make up different compounds that can affect our brain health. And so if we can change our gut bacteria, because we know that gut bacteria can affect brain health, that if we can change our gut bacteria, then we can improve our brain health as well. And yeah, some probiotics have even been shown to improve symptoms of stress, anxiety, depression. And one study that I was reading about is, was people with irritable bowel syndrome and mild to moderate anxiety or depression found that taking Bifidobacterium longum, which is actually in our, I don't have our bottle right here, but our the doTERRA probiotic, it's in there, as actually significantly shown to improve these various symptoms. And this is an emerging area of science, the microbiome, and the things that we are finding out about what these little bugs do for us is huge. We have in our, let's see what I wrote here. Okay, we have approximately 100 billion neurons in the human brain. And our gut has about 5 million neurons, which are connected to your brain through nerves in our nervous system. And so we know that kind of this communication comes through, various forms, but one is through the vagus nerve. And we know through various studies and stuff that they've shown that stress can inhibit the signals that are sent through the vagus nerve, as well as can cause gastrointestinal problems as well. So there is this connection between those two things. And also, the gut and brain are also connected by chemicals that we have, which are called neurotransmitters. A lot of people are familiar with things like, or at least have heard, dopamine, serotonin. And serotonin is one of those chemicals that contributes to feeling happy, but it also helps, regulate your internal clock. And a lot of these neurotransmitters are produced by your gut cells and the trillions of microbes that live there. And a large proportion of serotonin is actually produced in your gut. And so that becomes a very, real, what they refer to as the second brain. And, serotonin, I think we talked about, that was serotonin. So let's see here. So I think it's between 80 to 90% of our serotonin can be found in the gastrointestinal tract. And so gut health then promotes emotional health and mood stabilization. And how can an individual hope to experience healthy moods if their cells are depleted of nutrition and if their neurotransmitters reside in an area with blockages and inflammation? So we can start to understand the importance that our gut has, right? And also the foods that we eat actually either help to feed our good guys or they help to feed the bad guys. And this is really, really important to understand if we are wanting to have better emotional health. And let's see here, there was maybe one other thing here. It says, how can the over 100 million neurons, this is from this book right here, The Essential Life. But it says, how can the over 100 million neurons embedded in the gut influence healthy emotions when inflammation, blockages, candida, and other harmful bacteria are overpopulated and system imbalances are standard? And this is, I think, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, kind of why the importance of detoxification and cleansing is so important to the whole process. I mean, all these things are interconnected. They don't, nothing happens, like alone. So, okay, I'll come back to that idea of detoxification. So there's lots more I could say about this here, but hopefully you get kind of the gist that these gut microbes or our inner ecosystem play a role in our immune function, in our healthy inflammatory response. And you think about that when bodies are in an inflamed state. That is definitely associated with most, inflammation is directly correlated with most of the diseases and disorders that a lot of people are dealing with. There's a direct connection there. And I think it's, I'm going to butcher it, but I should have found the quote, but it goes back to that all health is rooted in our gut. And so if we don't take care of our gut, then, unfortunately, we may suffer from various health ailments. Okay. So we'll just talk briefly about this. I'm not going to get real big into it, but just something to be aware of is that, emotional eating, food addiction, and like I said before, I'm not really talking about eating disorders. I mean, maybe it could be considered an eating disorder, but this is just where eating healthy and losing weight may seem really difficult for some people. And despite their best intentions, they repeatedly find themselves eating, large amounts of unhealthy foods, or maybe small amounts of unhealthy foods, or whatever it is that knowingly is causing them harm, and they're aware of this. And that the truth is that certain foods can affect, and the effect that they have on the brain make it really difficult to avoid. Sugar is a perfect example. I know how quickly I just did a cleanse with our group in January, and I eliminated any added sugar. And I around, we got off our cleanse around Valentine's, and I, allowed myself to have, some, even though I'm really picky about my sugar. It was amazing how fast and how quick I wanted more. And so, these things can be very challenging for people to overcome, and that, these things are real and, can be the reason why some people can't, control themselves and get to the next level where they want to go, because it can involve the same area of your brain, just as a drug addiction does. And that processed foods have a powerful effect on the reward center of your brain. So, and this is where I think essential oils can be really, really helpful. One, I think with, cleansing and detoxifying the body, that definitely plays a role in helping to kind of get a handle on that. Because I think as you eat better, you obviously, and you kind of crowd out, you add in the healthier foods, you're less likely to want the foods that don't serve you. And sometimes that's, it's just a process that happens. But essential oils have a very powerful and direct effect on the brain. And, we have our olfactory senses, which directly connect to the hypothalamus, amygdala, and that allows that aroma to literally affect us like almost instantaneously, physically and emotionally. And so they can be very helpful for, anyone who's dealing with addiction, whether it be food addiction or, emotional eating, to help us work through our emotions, and having tools to help guide us there. So that's all I wanted to say about that. And then another concept that I wanted to talk about, which is coined by the founder of my health coaching school. His name is Joshua Rosenthal, and he talks about this idea of bioindividuality, and that we are all biologically different, and what may work for one person may not work for somebody else. So this can be in the realm of obviously different diets, right? This can be in the realm of different kinds of food. This can also be, I'd say, would ring true for essential oils. So what works for one person may not work for somebody else, or, in the realm of food, what may be a really healthy food for one person is essentially like a poison to somebody else. And so knowing that we are all biologically individual and different, sometimes you have to kind of figure out can, I'm going to eliminate is a when
Froze.
you're
Not coming in clear.
figuring out which.
Can't hear you, Dia.
It just start echoing.
Yeah, echoing, and then they couldn't hear you. Now you're froze, and you're froze. Okay.
I don't know.
There, it's back. It's been going in and out a few times, but you're back now. Let's see. No.
Yeah. A lot of weird technology stuff going on. I don't know. I guess I'll keep talking and we'll see what people can hear and what they can't. I don't know. But that's, I just wanted to comment on that just because I think it's important as you kind of figure out what, obviously that it can be very powerful in a way if discovering foods don't work for you, and what foods aren't serving you, maybe foods that are inflammatory for you, and because I think all of those things, as we learned about the relationship between the gut and the brain, is that it can affect every aspect of our health. And so as we talk about the power of food, there's lots of research to show that there's a clear link between what we eat and drink and how we think, feel, and behave. And I think a healthy diet is as important to your mental health as it is to your physical health. As you're looking at, how to kind of navigate that, there's lots. I mean, you will find in health and nutrition that there are as many different theories. There is as many different opposing conversations that happen, and it can be very confusing for people to be like, well, I don't know what to do. This person says this and this says that. I think that one thing that everybody can agree on is that eating more fruits and vegetables and having a large percentage of our diet coming from fruits and vegetables and eating from the rainbow is very supportive to our health, very supportive to our mood. And that's just something most Americans just do not get enough of. So starting in that, it's going to make a huge, huge impact for you. For anybody really. And then of course looking at consuming foods as close to their natural state as possible. Less processing the better, but we do live in 2019 and sometimes it's difficult to avoid all of just the modern conveniences and the fast pace of life that we have, and so just trying to make the best choice as you can. And trying to find it with as minimal processing, as least ingredients, ingredients that you can read and you actually know what they are. And just like an example, like eating an orange is much better than drinking orange juice for a variety of reasons. It's not going to spike your it's not as concentrated. It's just all around better. Or if you're going to, obviously fresh squeezed orange juice too. But, and then a variety of things that you can do to help with your mental health and your brain health is one, let's see here. We just had an earthquake. Did you feel that, Debbie? Crazy. Okay. We'll see if we get another one. We had 2 earthquakes last week too. I grew up in Southern California, and I've been at least through 2 bigger earthquakes. So it kind of freaks me out a little bit that we need to be prepared because apparently Utah is on a fault line. So anyhow, trying to stay on task here. Okay, but good fats. These are your mono unsaturated fats from things like avocado, olive oils, are really shown to have a positive effect on the brain and helping to regulate our mood. Increasing your omega-3 fatty acids. These are things found in oily fish and things like flaxseed, walnuts. And these are also found in the brain. And so the brain actually requires these to function. And studies show that omega-3s can actually help increase good bacteria in the gut and reduce risks of brain disorders and feelings of depression. So huge correlation between what we're eating and feeding ourselves. And we'll talk about some of the supplements that doTERRA has that are phenomenal, because it's difficult to get everything that you need from your diet. And this way you kind of have like your insurance policy to make sure that you get what you need, because not everybody eats those kinds of foods that have what we need. So, all right. Another thing is just having awareness around trans fat. I mean, obviously it's, I think a few years ago, it kind of was a big thing, and it's been removed from a lot of things, but it actually still shows up in a lot of places. So reading your labels, being aware, and that has really shown that not really any amount of trans fat is really safe. And this is, would show up as like partially hydrogenated oils. And these are shown to be very highly inflammatory and contribute to all kinds of poor cognitive function and depression, aggression, high cholesterol. I mean, it's not good. Hey, Sarah, how's it going? All right. I think this is also, again, I really affect your food choices when we're consuming a lot of sugar, and this can kind of send you on that mood roller coaster. I taught a class a while back all about you know, kind of the talking about sugar and the dangers of sugar, and how it literally can kind of just, once you're on that roller coaster, it's really difficult to get off, and you may not even know that you're on it. But once you're off of it, you just, you know, you can kind of tell real hunger, just having more of a stable mood. It really can affect your mood. And trying to, you know, find ways that you can, you know, maybe just choosing fruit, or there are some good alternatives that you can try out there. Monk fruit is one that we use that as a sugar substitute for things, just when my kids want to have something a little bit sweeter. I'll buy, or, you know, some stevia or something like that to like sweeten, make like a, you know, an almond milk. I buy unsweetened almond milk, and then I'll, you know, make a vanilla milk for my 5-year-old. Or I'll, you know, get them some cereal that doesn't have any sugar added to it, and I'll add a little bit of monk fruit. I did that during when we did our cleanse as a family, and we eliminated any added sugar for them. And I felt like it just made such a difference. Like they weren't like asking for like sugar all the time. I mean, I felt like I wouldn't find myself so hungry all the time. It was really kind of amazing, and I'd have to kind of remind myself, oh, I need to eat, because I just didn't have that just crazy hunger, like constant, which is normally what I have experienced. So something to play with. Another thing to think about is adding, you know, fermented foods. This has been shown to alter brain activity, and just again feeding the your microbiome, or your what did I say, like your I don't know, your forest, whatever you want to call it. But fermented foods are, you know, and I think having diversity and the types of good microbes is really, really helpful. So kefir, I make a coconut kefir that everybody really loves, and also, you know, getting good yogurt, really trying to look at how much sugar those have. A lot of them are really not really great because their sugar content is so high. Looking for active live cultures. Sauerkraut, you actually can, there's a couple of brands that you can now buy in the store and get like a fermented sauerkraut. And that is hugely helpful to your health. Also high fiber foods, whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruit, vegetables, all contain prebiotic fiber, and prebiotic fibers are what help to feed the good bacteria. And they love that. And also, I read about that prebiotics can also help to reduce stress at home. Don't have a prebiotic, and ours does, and we'll talk about that too. But it has a double encapsulation where it has the prebiotic in the outside, and then it's got the probiotics in the inside, and it doesn't activate until it actually makes it through. Hello. Oh, let's see. Earthquake appears to be centered into Sandy. So crazy 2.0. Definitely elevates my heart there. But yeah, so prebiotics are super, you know, are helpful, and making sure that you have that in your probiotic, but also that you're getting it in your diet, because we want to feed those good bugs, and those are the kind of things that we want to eat. Now, on the flip side of that, a lot of the standard American diet, you know, sugar, carbs, you know, that kind of stuff is what really those not the bad bacteria, those unhealthy microbes, they love that kind of stuff. And so what are we feeding them, right? And what are we helping? We want to help the good ones grow, and we don't want to feed the bad ones. So think about that as you make your food choices. I know it's not always easy, and we don't, and I'm of the mind, you know, you do what you can today with will, and you just make better choices as you can, and you know, shooting to whatever that is, if you're, you know, an 80-20 rule or a 90-10, or even if that's a 75-25 for you, if that's where you are today, just making switches and changes as you can, we're going to feed our health, our, you know, our bodies and our minds. And then another thing is the polyphenol-rich foods, and doTERRA also has the it's the Deep Blue, which is kind of like for deep blue, but like internally, so helps to kind of calm the body down, especially if you've got discomfort and things like that. But polyphenols, which is in like green tea and olive oil and even coffee, cacao, or I don't know if it's cacao or just cocoa, but it's high in all of those things, and they help to increase healthy gut bacteria, and may also improve just our cognitive function. So anywhere that you can get those polyphenols is also really helpful to nourishing our bodies, and of course eating from that rainbow is going to be really helpful there. And then another thing is just, you know, considering looking at your vitamin D levels. That's something that low levels are definitely associated with low mood and different mood disorders, and that's something, you know, you can increase that by obviously taking a supplement through fatty fish, egg yolk, liver. I'm not a fan of that one, but but some people might, or just, you know, getting out and getting sunshine, which is kind of hard. And I know even in Washington State, where Sean's from, they have actual little lights that can help with, you know, getting some of that things that we need from the sun. And all right, so we're gonna now kind of shift gears a little bit, and we're gonna talk about cleansing, supplements, and essential oils. And, you know, as we're thinking about, you know, the power of food and how that affects our emotional health, I think that you can't really get around, or like I would say, I believe strongly that cleansing and detoxifying is a great way to reboot your microbiome, but it also gives you an opportunity to reboot your diet, and help with some of those, you know, maybe cravings and, you know, things that we have as we kind of clean everything up, but also boost your emotional health. So we just did a cleanse in January as a group, and I know we're going to do another one here sometime in the spring. So if you have not done the doTERRA cleanse, I think it's awesome. It's very user-friendly, easy to do. I always like to add a few other things that I do to it for myself. You know, whether you want to do like an elimination diet or just eliminating foods that you know are not serving you. It's a great time to do that. And I think you really get a boost when you're cleansing and detoxifying. And I wanted to come back to this in this book. This is The Essential Life. There's a statement here that I thought was really good. It says, detoxifying the body can improve emotional health. Toxicity symptoms in the body can directly mirror many depressive symptoms and include insomnia, foggy thinking, low energy, digestive issues, dampened immune function, and allergies. And new studies even suggest that depression may be a type of allergic reaction to inflammation. And so chemical compounds found in essential oils stimulate a range of gentle to more intense detoxification effects, depending upon use, and promoting a natural cleanse for the digestive, endocrine, immune, and lymphatic and other detoxification systems and channels of the body. This in turn boosts mood and restores mental and physical energy. And then lastly, because we did talk about some of this stuff too, this will just kind of reiterate if Sarah or other people miss some of this, but blood sugar imbalances can also trigger depressive symptoms. And that's why I think too, the power of eliminating sugar, added sugar from your diet, or really limiting your sugars can make a huge, huge difference in that, that mood roller coaster. And certain essential oils like cinnamon, coriander, and fennel support metabolic function and assist in moderating blood sugar levels. Omega-3 fatty acids, food enzymes, and chelated minerals, vitamins B and D found in our whole foods-based supplement, antioxidant and polyphenol supplement also help to regulate blood sugar levels, energy, and support the right combination of good fats and other nourishing components. So this is exactly I think kind of sums up some of what I was after myself, is that you know, all these, this is all part of our health, and you can't have one without the other. they're all interrelated. And that we have, which is called the Lifelong Vitality. For those of you who don't use this product or don't know what it is, this is doTERRA's #1 seller. Out of, I think that's still true, to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've heard. And it is for a reason, because it really, really works, and it really supports you on that foundational level, and to help give you the nutrients that you need, to help feed your brain, feed your cells, and give you the energy and vitality that you need to tackle, right, the challenges of life. So so one of this is the essential oil Omega, and this one, you know, obviously omegas are much correlated with brain health. This is something that I kind of feel like you can't really overdo. Most people still are very depleted, especially if you've been nursing, if you've had kids, because those kids, man, they suck you dry of all of your omegas. So, I mean, even something to consider, you know, doubling up on as well. If you've been in, you know, childbearing years, or if you're dealing with low mood, making sure and trying to get those other things in your diet as well. But supplementing is definitely a great way to do it. And you're also getting a whole dose of an essential oil blend to help support you as well. So it's a great product. And then you have your food nutrient, which it talks about here, which is like, you know, which has all your, basically everything that you need from A to Z. And it's in a whole foods based form, so that your body knows what to do with it, recognizes it as food, and it's in the right amounts as well. So there are some supplements out there that are kind of what we call like you know, big or mega supplements. They're like, okay, they have these really high levels that will, you know, this is going to be even better. Well, more is not necessarily better. Your body, if it's too high, then there's only certain levels of what your body can take in and knows what to do with. So if those levels are up, then yeah, they're not benefiting you, and especially if it's not in a form that your body recognizes as food. And so I think even if you're eating well, this is kind of your insurance policy. So, and then of course you have your cellular support, and this helps kind of work, you know, on the cellular level for energy, but it has the polyphenols that we talked about, and this just helps to support healthy cells, strong. So let's see what else. I also wanted to talk about, I talked about the PB Assist a little bit. And a lot of these products actually we do when we do our cleanse, but these are things that I take every day. And I know it's just part of a wellness lifestyle to help me have the energy and strength to tackle being a mom, being a wife, you know, being a you know, runner of the show, and you know, running a business, you know, being a friend, all these things these hats that we wear. I really feel like the foundation is so important, and I feel that, you know, eating nourishing food is key, but also getting your insurance policy, and but the PB Assist is also something that we take daily, and that again has the double encapsulation, so that a lot of probiotics don't actually make it down into the gut where they need to go because they don't survive the stomach acid, and maybe some of them make it through, but with this it actually doesn't release until it gets to where it needs to go, and that way. And it has the prebiotic as well, which is going to help to feed those good microbes and help them proliferate and you know, grow bigger, which is what you want. And you want to have diversity amongst your microbiome. So, and then we also have the PB Assist for kids, which is really great too. And that also has a double encapsulation, which I didn't realize, and that is super cool. And it also has a prebiotic as well. Yeah, so, and kids really love it. And then there's the Terrazyme, which I think again is another foundational product for helping you to, one, break down the foods that you are eating, get out the nutrition from them, but also help you to digest and absorb, and also helps to rebuild connective tissue when you take it on an empty stomach. So enzymes are a part as well. And then when we do the cleanse, and this is something that you could do it really at honestly any time, but the GX Assist, which is this product here, this is a main part of the cleanse. There's actually, well, there's the Zendocrine, which is your organ cleanse, and that cleanses all of your major organs, and it's essential oil based. And then the GX Assist is something that you do later. You do this in the beginning, you kind of do this towards the middle, and but this helps to get that gut microbiome back in balance. So we're helping to get rid of pathogens and the bad guys, right? The stuff that we don't want proliferating in our gut and feeding. And sometimes it's like, I at least this is kind of my own belief, but you know, when you do have an unhealthy microbiome and you have a lot of these bad guys, just they're starting to kind of turn the neighborhood up, right? I mean, they're making things so it's not the nice, lovely neighborhood it used to be. It's kind of sketchy, and maybe there's violence or whatever, you know. When that becomes, you know, unchecked, it makes it harder to eat better, because you don't want the good foods. You want the food they're gonna feed these guys. And so any help that we can get in helping to get that system back in balance, I think is so crucial. So to do something that you can do, especially if you are struggling with your health. You do, once a month if you wanted to, but just feel that out. But that's and then you would, I don't have the probiotic because I'm out of it, but you would, the PB Assist is then, you would take that afterwards. So I mean, we'll talk about a cleanse. I'm not kind of going through all that now, but I just wanted to mention some of the products that doTERRA offers, and and why you'd want to do those. Okay, so I'm going to kind of move over here from some of the foundational products, if I can get my respond back here. We started 8 to 10 minutes late. If you're okay to stay on, awesome. Okay. So, and then I was going to say too, another product that doTERRA has, just another thing to help you on your journey in getting more nutrition is that's something that you can add water when you're, just another way to kind of flood your body with good nutrition, or you could add it to a shake or a smoothie to have like an extra boost of good nourishing food. So and then I was going to also talk about various essential oils that can help us with I think almost any essential oil is going to have emotional benefits. And I'm sorry that I don't have a slide prepared or anything like that. It just didn't happen this time. Maybe next time. But if you look at all the essential oils, that they all, I don't care what it is, every essential oil has some emotional benefit to us. And find the chart here. I don't know if it's this book. Let's see if it's on this page. Nope, it's not. But I mean, all of the citrus oils help to kind of uplift and make you feel happy. And there's oils that can kind of just help to kind of have kind of calming properties. And obviously these are the chemical constituents that are in the oils that do that for us. But like lavender or petitgrain and even ylang ylang or bergamot, those are, I mean, can all be oils that can kind of calm and soothe. And like frankincense is amazing for, I find, for just stability, just kind of a good grounding oil. Another oil that is one of my personal favorites is Melissa. This is not an oil that I honestly would be without, and my family included, because this oil has been very powerful for us in our lives, and really has been a game changer. And for anyone who does deal with, occasionally having a low mood, I find this oil to be so helpful in just helping to help us to see the light of day when we're overwhelmed by either the darkness or the sadness. It helps us to see the light. And amazing oil. And I love to actually use these two in conjunction, frankincense and Melissa together. I feel like it just, one helps to kind of lift me out of the clouds, and the other one just kind of helps to keep me more even. But also I've petitgrain, since we've been talking about this oil with BOGOs, petitgrain
It's completely froze.
So there's lots of great books. I am not sure what happened. Let's see here. Am I even still on? Can you see me? Am I sideways? Well, we've had some fun with technology tonight, ladies.
You are sideways.
You are sideways. We can hear you now. Okay, I'll move it this way since, man, technology, sometimes it's awesome, sometimes it's not so awesome. But you know, my recommendation is to experiment with one, the oils that you already have. BOGO is a great time to get experience. Don't know what that was about, but just noises from my family. But BOGO is a great time to obviously get some of the oils that you know, that you love, but also get introduced to maybe some oils that you haven't used before, like Petitgrain, that I'm even more so discovering. It's not one that I've used a ton, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, that just helped calm my anxiety hugely. So I think I found a new go-to. So you kind of have to just, you know, be open to experimenting. And I think having a good resource is key. There's tons of books that you can get online. Some of my favorite ones, I've showed them here, but one is called Modern Essentials. You can, you know, purchase it at Aroma Tools. There's this other book that I've been reading from, which is it's called The Essential Life. And that's got really great, you know, DIYs, and you know, it's got a bunch of stuff on using the oils for, like, you know, for emotional health. You know, but kind of you have to figure out what works for you, because again, we're all biologically, or bio-individuality, we're all biologically different, and what works for one person may not work for somebody else. So you know, but experimenting with that. And doTERRA has some awesome blends. They just did a BOGO, I guess it was yesterday, today's Wednesday. Yesterday they had the Cheer, which if you haven't smelled Cheer, it's so just yummy and delightful, and very uplifting. And then and Motivate, which was on my list to get for next month, and now I'm getting it for free. So yay. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead, and I'm gonna kind of tie things up. I think if I can get my notes pulled back up here. The other one last thing I did want to mention is just coming back to, I think, the power of our thoughts in creating our reality. And when we think about, I mean, obviously the power that food has in affecting our emotional health. Oh my goodness, do our thoughts have power in affecting our emotional health? Absolutely. And you know, and sometimes whether that's, you know, making an affirmation, I think it's also feeding and nourishing your brain with good stuff. And whether that's quotes, or a positive, uplifting book, a motivational, you know, kind of self-discovery book, whatever you can do to putting those thoughts into our minds, because that nourishes us well, and that's going to help us in making better choices, and, you know, and living the lives that we were meant to. So thank you, ladies, for joining. You can unmute yourself if anybody has any comments or feedback. I'd love to hear from you.
Well, thank you, Dia. It was very, very informative. I appreciated it.
It was very good, Dia. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I hope you ladies have a good evening, and excited to see what tomorrow's BOGO is.
Absolutely. I'm excited too. And the earthquake was located just south of Bluff Delegan.
That's it's got me a little bit like,
Well, had a number of them. I was just, turn off the recording for a second.
Let's see if I can turn, let me see if I can turn off the recording. All right. Do you want to stop cloud recording? Yes.